Welcome to another screencast where we'll be addressing the last part of this endocrine system functioning here as it relates to the skeletal system. So we'll be focusing here on that I did not circle. This right here. So regulation of blood calcium by calcitonin and parathyroid hormone. So here is the thyroid, pardon me, the thyroid gland. It is located just inferior to your larynx or your voice box, so you should be able to palpate that in your own neck there and feel it. But you will not be able to then feel the thyroid gland. This is mostly soft tissue there. So the thyroid gland is made up of a couple different types of cells that produce a couple different types of hormones. The thyroid gland releases two metabolic hormones, and these are known as T3 and T4. And then one hormone that regulates blood calcium levels, and that is called calcitonin. And so calcitonin is the hormone that we're interested in right here. The T3 and T4 are produced by these thyroid follicular cells right here. So again, these ones are producing T3 and T4. They produce this, they actually secrete this colloid material in here, the thyroid follicle, and that's what you see in this light micrograph over here. So all of this material in here will become this T3 and T4 hormone, thyroxine, right, and triiodothyronine. But again, we are interested more here in this case of the calcitonin, and that is produced by these parafollicular cells, which are between the follicles here. And so these parafollicular cells right there are not part of this follicle. And so you can see these sort of nestled right in here is one, and here is one right here. So most of that thyroid is made up of follicular cells in the follicles, but then you have these parafollicular cells. They're going to be secreting this hormone calcitonin into the bloodstream. Okay, so that is the thyroid gland, two different cell types, and the three different types of hormones that are produced there. On the back side, or the posterior side of the thyroid gland, is the parathyroid gland. And actually there are four little nests of tissue here that are the parathyroid glands. And these parathyroid glands are endocrine glands, and they will produce a hormone called parathyroid hormone. Sometimes things are easy, right? Parathyroid PTH. So PTH is parathyroid hormone, and that is where it's produced. Right? Pretty simple. So in the regulation of blood calcium levels, when there's an imbalance, that is you're outside of this 9 to 11 milligrams per 100 milliliter range here, if there is an elevation of blood calcium levels, you have a condition called hypercalcemia. And if you have an imbalance on the low end, you have a condition called hypocalcemia. So in hypercalcemia, again then, in hypercalcemia, the thyroid gland is going to detect this elevated blood calcium levels. Why might your blood calcium levels be increasing? That is a question maybe we can talk about quickly in class. But when hypercalcemia does occur, you have the parafollicular cells of the thyroid gland detect that high level of calcium and will release then calcitonin into the bloodstream. That calcitonin then has as its target cells osteoblasts. So these osteoblasts have receptors for calcitonin on them, and those osteoblasts are then signaled to release this calcium salt, or the hydroxyapatite into the bone. So this is again that hydroxyapatite, CA5, PO4, I think 3, and then this is OH. So this is a salt, a metal and a non-metal salt here, and then it has this hydroxy group on here again. But this is the hard mineral part of the bone. Right? And so this is going to serve to bring the blood calcium levels back down, because those osteoblasts are signaled to bring that calcium out of the bloodstream and then combine it with this phosphate and churn out that calcium phosphate. So not only osteoblasts have receptors, but osteocytes do to a limited extent as well, but really osteoblasts are the target cells there. In hypocalcemia now, blood calcium levels are low, right? And this is another question to kind of think about and discuss in class. Why might that be low? But when you have low blood calcium levels, the parathyroid glands are now stimulated to release parathyroid hormone, and there's only one type of cell in there that will do that. So these parathyroid cells will release parathyroid hormone. Parathyroid hormone then has as its target cell osteoclast cells, and so these osteoclasts, upon binding parathyroid hormone, will become more active and will secrete acids and enzymes into the around the bone and break down that calcium phosphate, and then thus returning the calcium to the blood, and the blood calcium levels come back up. Okay, so this is a maintaining homeostasis, so you can take a look there at that and follow the homeostatic curve again as well. So now you should be able to describe and explain here the regulation of blood calcium levels by calcitonin and the parathyroid hormone. Okay, thanks for listening. Bring your questions to class.